Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's take up the daily quiz for today. The first question: which of the following statements are correct? Glacial lake outburst floods occur from an unstable natural dam formed from a glacial retreat. When a glacier retreats, it leaves behind a large impression in the ground, filling it with water, and a lake is formed with the accumulation of debris known as moraine. In the Himalayas, moraine-dammed glacial lakes are common, and numerous GLOF events have been traced back to the failure of moraine dams. All the three statements are correct, so option D is the right answer. This question has been asked because we have a related article on page number 1 of today's The Hindu newspaper. This article refers to the glacial burst event that occurred yesterday in Uttarakhand. This glacial burst or glacial lake outburst flood event, which occurred on the Nanda Devi peak, triggered an avalanche and even caused a flash flood in the Rishiganga and Dauliganga rivers of Uttarakhand. The flash flood was so devastating that several people have been killed and more than 100 people are missing, and even the hydropower projects that were under construction on the Rishiganga and Dauliganga rivers have been completely swept away. See, the retreat of a glacier basically refers to the melting of the glacier. The glaciers, particularly in the Himalayan mountains, could melt because of climate change and global warming, and as well as due to several man-made and natural factors. This melting of a large glacier leaves behind a gap in the ground, which in turn gets filled with water from the melting glacier. So this water body that gets formed is nothing but a glacial lake, and it also results in the accumulation of a lot of debris known as moraine. Because just like rivers carry a lot of silt and sediment, even the glaciers carry a lot of sediments and debris which gets accumulated as a result of the melting, and this moraine forms a natural dam that holds the waters of the glacial lake. But these natural dams are not strong enough, and if the melting of the glacier increases, the immense pressure of the water could break the natural dam and thus result in a flash flood and even trigger avalanches. Now let's take up the second question. In the context of disaster management in India, the National Crisis Management Committee has been constituted under the chairmanship of Prime Minister, Vice Chairman of NDMA, the Home Minister, or the Cabinet Secretary. The correct answer is option D. It is the Cabinet Secretary who chairs the National Crisis Management Committee. This question has been asked because the government has issued a press release on the PIB, according to which the Cabinet Secretary has chaired a review meeting of the National Crisis Management Committee to take stock of the glacial burst event in Uttarakhand. See, the National Crisis Management Committee is one of the apex institutions in our disaster management architecture. It is headed by the Cabinet Secretary, who is the highest ranking civil servant in the country. The mandate of this committee is to build coordination between various ministries and central agencies during times of disasters, and it also has the powers to issue the required directions to the concerned state governments. See, in our disaster management architecture, the NDMA, or the National Disaster Management Authority, has been established as a statutory institution which is chaired by the Prime Minister to provide for a structured response for all kinds of disasters. Then at the center, the Ministry of Home Affairs has been designated as the nodal ministry to build coordination amongst all the concerned stakeholders while dealing with disasters. Then at the apex level, an executive committee has been set up known as the National Crisis Management Committee that is chaired by the Cabinet Secretary, the highest ranking civil servant in the government, to provide for coordination among central ministries and central agencies and departments, and also to coordinate and issue directions to the concerned state authorities. Along with the Cabinet Secretary, the National Crisis Management Committee also includes several secretaries from key ministries of the central government. Now let's look into the third question. Which of the following statements are incorrect? The Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana was launched in 2016 in line with One Nation, One Scheme theme. It replaced two existing schemes, that is the National Agricultural Insurance Scheme and the Modified National Agricultural Insurance Scheme. It provides insurance coverage and financial support to the farmers in the event of failure of any notified crop as a result of natural calamities, pests and diseases. The premium to be paid by the farmers varies from state to state and on the type of crop. So the correct answer is option D, 4 only, because the question is asking you to identify the incorrect statement and the fourth statement is incorrect. See, the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana was launched in 2016 in order to put in place a uniform crop insurance scheme for the farmers. It replaced the two existing schemes, that is NAIS and MNAI. This scheme adopted the best features of the two existing schemes and it also addressed the shortcomings that were present in the existing schemes. It basically provides for crop insurance for all the eligible farmers in the event of any natural disasters, pests and diseases, which results in the destruction of the crop and thereby guarantees income security for the farmers. It also helps in tackling the burden of loans on the farmers and strengthens the agricultural credit system in the country. Under this scheme, the premium to be paid by the farmers is uniform around the country and it does not vary from state to state. It only varies on the type of crop that is cultivated and the premium has been set at 2% for all Kharif crops, 1.5% for all the Rabi crops and 5% for all the commercial and horticultural crops. This question has been asked because according to this press release from the PIB, the Government of India has allocated 16,000 crore rupees for the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana for the coming financial year. This allocation marks a budgetary increase of around 305 crore rupees as compared to the previous financial year. And also note that this crop insurance scheme is said to be the world's largest crop insurance scheme and it provides for the lowest uniform premium for the farmers across the country. Now let's look at the fourth question. The Nord Stream pipeline, often seen in news, transports natural gas between which two countries? The correct answer is option C, Russia and Germany. This question has been asked because we have a related article in the Indian Express which explains the controversy surrounding the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. See, the Nord Stream pipeline connects Russia and Germany and transports natural gas between the two countries. The orange and the blue line you can see over here represents the Nord Stream 1 pipeline which was built back in 2011 and it is already functional and it has been transporting natural gas from Russia to Germany. The green dotted line you can see over here is the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that is being constructed and this upcoming project has become a source of geopolitical controversy from 2018. See, the Nord Stream gas pipeline that passes through the Baltic Sea is said to be the world's longest subsea pipeline. But this project, particularly Nord Stream 2 pipeline, has been opposed by several countries including the United States, France, Ukraine and several other countries in West Europe, Central Europe and Eastern Europe. These countries are primarily concerned about the increasing Russian influence in Europe. Because currently, the European Union already depends on Russia for 40% of its gas requirements. So if the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is completed, it would further increase the dependency of Europe on Russian gas. Now this would have geopolitical consequences because it would substantially increase Russian influence in Europe, which is a cause of concern for several major powers in the region. The United States has opposed this pipeline project primarily because of the CAATSA sanctions. See, CAATSA stands for Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. This is an American law passed by the US Congress that targets three adversary states of the United States, which includes Russia, Iran and North Korea. These sanctions primarily target the defense and oil sector of these countries, and the United States has already imposed these sanctions on the Nord Stream project. Since Germany is a key ally of West European countries and the United States, the US expects Germany to halt the project. But Russia and Germany have largely ignored these sanctions, and there has been only a brief disruption in the project as a result of the impact of these sanctions. So after this brief disruption, Germany has again gone ahead and resumed the project, and very soon the pipeline is likely to be completed as just 150 kilometers is pending. And the completion of this project also poses an economic challenge to the United States, which is eagerly looking to export its shale gas to European countries. So for the United States, this is both a geopolitical challenge and an economic challenge. Then countries such as Ukraine, they are worried about the economic consequences of this project, because Ukraine, located over here, has a land-based gas pipeline that passes from Russia to European countries, and the supply of gas through this land pipeline fetches transit fees to Ukraine, which is crucial for its economy. So Ukraine is worried that once the subsea pipeline is completed, Russia would bypass the land pipeline passing through Ukraine. And along with Ukraine, several other European countries, including France, they are worried about the increasing Russian influence in Europe. Now let's look at a practice question from the 2018 prelims paper. Which of the following statements best describes carbon fertilization? If you go through the 4 given options, you can clearly say that option A is the right answer, because carbon fertilization refers to increased plant growth due to increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The increase in concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is said to aid the process of photosynthesis, which in turn increases plant growth. But however, this varies from plant species to species, and it also depends on several factors such as temperature and the availability of water and nutrients. Now let's look at the fact of the day. Under this discussion, we shall talk about 3 islands in Sri Lanka known as the Delft Island, Naina Tivu Island and the Analathivu Island. See, these 3 islands are located near the Jaffna Peninsula of Sri Lanka, and you can clearly see them in the map over here. This is the Delft Island, or also known as the Nedun Tivu Island. Then you can also see the Naina Tivu Island over here, and this is the Analathivu Island. These islands are in news because according to this article in the Indian Express, the Rajapaksa government in Sri Lanka has awarded a major wind and solar energy project on these islands to a Chinese company, and this has caused great concern for India. Because this decision of the Sri Lankan government comes in the backdrop of its latest decision to cancel the contract with India and Japan for building the East Container Terminal at the Colombo port. Just a few days back, Sri Lanka formally announced that it won't be involving India and Japan in the construction of the East Container Terminal at the Colombo port, and it has followed it up by awarding a major wind and solar energy project to a Chinese company on strategic islands that are located closer to the Indian coastline. See, these islands on which the wind and solar energy projects are coming up, they are located very close to the Kachativu Island, which India had ceded to Sri Lanka back in 1974. And you can also see in this map that these islands are quite close to Rameshwaram and the coastline of India. In these waters near the Jaffna Peninsula, India and Sri Lanka already have plenty of issues. For example, the fishermen dispute, especially in and around the Kachativu Island, is a constant source of tension between India and Sri Lanka. Then even the legality and the constitutionality of the transfer of Kachativu Island from India to Sri Lanka is in question. So Sri Lanka's decision to award these projects to a Chinese company on strategic islands located closer to India is a cause of concern for India. So this concludes the discussion for today. If you find these videos to be useful, please don't forget to hit the like button and comment below. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.